I feel so cool wearing one of these, like all the teachers wear these. Okay, well, yeah, thank you so much for all that you guys do. Just teaching kids, you guys are more impactful than more impactful than you even know. I loved all of my CTE classes. I took foods and sewing and all the things, and I still use all of those things in my daily life. So thank you so much for all that you guys do. So I'm going to start off by recapping just my story. I'll give some more details that you might not already know. And so, so my name is Frei. I've always been a very active person and involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. I've been a cheerleader since 8th grade, and so I cheered all through junior high and high school. I was on the golf team the last couple years in high school. I love to be outside and hiking and swimming, and I love summer and all things outside. And so I was in Bear Lake with a couple of my friends at my friend Brooke's cabin. And we had a really fun week. We were jet skiing and playing in the sand and just, hanging out as friends. And then on our way home on July 30th of 2020, we were coming home through the Logan Canyon, and it's just a 2-lane road, and it's a really tight canyon, and we were hit head-on by a drunk driver. They estimated that this driver was going about 70 to 75 miles per hour around the bend and hit into our car head-on. And I was with 3 other of my friends, and I was instantly paralyzed from the waist down and had many internal injuries. And the driver of the car, she broke her right femur. The passenger seat, her name's Brooke, she just had bruising around her abdomen and back. And then the boy sitting next to me, he broke his collarbone and cracked his pelvis. And so luckily we're all okay, we're all still doing good, we're all still best friends, and so we're just so lucky to be alive. The people who we've talked to since the accident who were actually there and saw it and everything, they said that they could almost guarantee that no one would make it out alive. The windshield was nearly touching the 2 girls in the front, their faces, because of how smashed the car was. And so we're all so lucky to still be here, but I was not getting any blood flow to either of my legs. And so we waited in that canyon for about 45 minutes to an hour before the ambulance got to come. There was no cell service at the spot that we were at either. And so luckily someone around had a satellite phone and was able to call the ambulance. So that is just a huge miracle that someone had a satellite phone on them. I don't know anyone who even owns a satellite phone. And so all of the bystanders that were there were incredible people. There were trained CNAs, off-duty EMTs, a special forces guy, a pharmacist, just so many amazing people that were able to help us before the ambulance got there. One of them even had a neck brace for someone to wear, and so they did an amazing job before the ambulance got to us. And so we were all taken to the hospital in Logan, and they realized the extent of my injuries. They were giving me several blood transfusions, but I then had to be life-flighted to Primary Children's Hospital. And so at this time, I was 17 years old. And so I was life-flighted to Primary Children's Hospital, and because of COVID, they only allowed 1 parent in, and so luckily they allowed that because I was still a minor and 17 years old. And so my mom got to come and be with me for a little bit, and then I was transferred to the University of Utah Hospital, where I spent 75 days in the hospital, so 2.5 months in the hospital, and had a total of 20 surgeries. And so it's been just over a year, barely. We just hit our year mark, and I've been able to accomplish so many things. But they determined that they would have to amputate both of my legs above the knee because of the lack of blood flow that I was getting. And I was internally bleeding and couldn't feel my legs, and they were able to helped me, and I'm, again, just so lucky to even be alive. They said that the seatbelt I was wearing had nearly cut me in half, and they had to remove about 30% of my intestines that had been bleeding, which left me with just enough left to be able to function properly. But my back was broken, my spine was severed, and I then had the amputation. And again, I was 17 years old, and so because of COVID, one parent could be with me every day. And so my mom and dad switched off being with me every other day, so they would spend like 24 hours with me, got to sleep there with me, and so I was just so lucky to still be able to have at least one person with me. But it's been about a year since the accident happened, and I've been able to accomplish more than I ever would have thought. I'm going to be talking about a couple of the things that I have learned since my accident. I mean, there's no way I could spend hours talking about all of the many things that I've learned, so I'm just going to be talking about a couple. The first thing that I'm going to be talking about is, before I go on, I'm also going to be doing a Q&A at the end, just like a quick question and answer. So be thinking of questions, and don't forget them if you want to write them down while you have them. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is about choices. And every day we wake up and we make choices. This is what I'm going to wear today. This is what I'm going to eat today. And I've been able to choose to find joy despite this circumstance that I'm in, despite the accident. A couple of months ago, I was in therapy, and I was talking about how I couldn't sleep very well, and he asked me why, and there's something called, when you get something amputated off of your body, there's something called phantom pains. And some of you may know what this is already, but it basically feels like my legs are still here. It's like a weird tingling sensation because my brain is trying to send signals to my legs, but they're just bouncing back, and it causes me to still be able to feel like my legs are here. And so it's a super weird thing. If you're into science, you probably know more about it, but I don't really understand any of it. But it still feels like my legs are here, and sometimes that can be kind of painful. It sometimes feels like electric shocks running through my legs. And so it would keep me up at night, and I was just talking about this and how it was keeping me up, and the guy said, sometimes problems are only problems if you're making it a problem. He's like, what are some things that you are saying to yourself when this is happening? And I'm like, I say to myself, this is so annoying, this hurts, like, why is this happening? And he's like, I want you to try to picture your legs as if they were grieving the loss of them. And I was like, okay, weird. And so that night, I kind of was trying to wrap my head around what he was saying. And so that night, I was laying in bed, and they were getting kind of painful, and so I just pictured my legs as if they were breathing, and as if it was a person. I would say, like, it's okay, I know you miss your legs, it's gonna be okay. Like, I would just, like, kind of go through that, and then I woke up the next morning, and I had totally fallen asleep in, like, 5 minutes, where it would have taken me, like, 2 hours to fall asleep. And so I was like, I couldn't wait to tell him. I was like, I can't believe that actually worked. And so that was just a huge life lesson to me about the power of each of our minds. And because I thought about something differently and shifted my focus on how I viewed the problem, it helped me fall asleep faster. And it's no longer a problem anymore. I mean, I still do that when they hurt, and it just totally helps it. And so that was just, it was just so amazing to me. The power of our minds and the power of our outlook on things, and it's all just a choice in our brain whether or not we want to be bitter about something, or whether we want to stay positive about something. And that is what I have tried to do during this whole recovery process, is choosing to find the good in all things, choosing to focus on what I'm grateful for. And I think that positivity over poor me is so powerful. A little bit ago, I went to the chiropractor with my mom, And this was the first time I had ever been to the chiropractor, and so we had to fill out a bunch of paperwork, and we had to fill out like my name, my birthday, and other things like that. And so I'm sitting next to my mom, and we're filling it out together, and it says name, birthday, and then it says height. And I'm like, 3 feet? Like, it was just funny, like, and me and my mom just sat there and we laughed about it, and in that moment I was like, I'm so glad that I can just laugh about things now, and I'm choosing to laugh about things rather than, you know, being super sad and a different height or whatever. I think we just put what I used to be, but yeah, so it was just so cool to me that me and my mom were able to laugh in that moment, and that was really powerful for me to see that, you know, that's what I've been able to do this whole process, is just to learn to laugh about things and learn to be happy and choose to find the joy in all things. Before the accident, so I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and so I have a lot of older siblings, and so my brother Jake, he's 2 years older than me. I was in the car with him, and he would have to drive me to school before I could drive. So he was a senior and I was a sophomore, and he would drive me to and from school. And one day we were driving, and he had to go straight from school to work, but he had to drop me off first, and then there's all this traffic. And he's like, I'm going to be late to work, and I felt so bad for him, and I was getting so mad. I'm like, why is there all this traffic? This is so frustrating. Like, I hate traffic. This is so annoying. Like, this is all my fault. I want you to get to work quickly. And he's like, it's okay, Sarah. Like, there's nothing you can do about the traffic, and I'm going as fast as I can. And so we might as well make the most of it. Like, we can sit here and listen to music. We can sit here and talk. And you know, that was just, who knew that one car ride could change my whole outlook on going into high school. I was able to, that really shifted my focus just on, yeah, I can't control this thing, and so I might as well make the most of it. And so that one life lesson has been especially meaningful to me after the accident, and something I've thought a lot about. People say, how are you so happy? And that's the conversation that I think of, is in the car ride with me and my brother, him saying, there's nothing you can do to control this traffic, so you might as well make the most of it. And so I thought a lot about the accident. I probably could think of all of the what ifs. What if I had gone 10 minutes later in the car, or what if this, what if that? And I think that doesn't make me feel any better about the situation. I mean, what happened, and there's nothing I can do to control the situation that happened. And so I might as well make the most of it, and I might as well stay positive, and I might as well try to, you know, help as many people stay positive as well. And so that is something that has helped me stay so happy, is just during the circumstances that I can't control, I choose to be happy, and I choose not to waste my time focusing on the things that I can't control. And that one thing has taken me a long way, you know, since the accident, just that one life lesson that I had learned. And I think that everyone in this room has such an influence on the students, and teaching students to stay positive despite the circumstances that they're in. You may not know what's going on at home, you only see them for a couple of hours, but if you are staying positive, then you are all the examples to those students. And I have seen my teachers be the example for me about, you know, just positivity, coming into the classroom every day with a smile. And I think that also you can, every day you come in, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing every day, teaching the same thing to a bunch of different classes. And if you just focus on maybe helping one person that day, then it can help you just stay more happy throughout the day. Just think, one person in one class, I'm just going to, hopefully I touched someone today. And just thinking positively about each class and each thing that we do can really help. There's this quote that I want to read by Ralph Marston, and it says, "Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you, it can only come from you." And so this is just saying that, the happiness that we feel is a choice, and I truly believe that, and I've been able to really see that in my own life, that there is power in the positivity that we feel. And I think that we need to choose to spend our time not focusing on the what ifs, but the what's next for me, what's next in my future, and that'll really help, because it has definitely helped me. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is about resilience and determination. So in the hospital, I was in the ICU for about 5 weeks, and then I went to just the regular floor of the hospital, and then I moved to rehab, where I had to, relearn how to do just about everything. And so, in the hospital, I was like, so when can I go home? I'm ready to go home. And the physical therapist and the social worker and everyone, they would have a meeting about when each patient can go home. And so they said, like, Sarah, once you're making a lot of progress and once we want you to be able to do these things before you leave the hospital and, live outside of the hospital, we want you to be able to do these things. And so I was like, okay, I want you to write a list down for me, and I want to make a list too. And so I was with my dad that day, and so I called my mom and I said, tomorrow when you come, will you bring a big poster board and all of my colorful Sharpies? And she's like, yeah, of course. And so the next day she brought all my colorful Sharpies, and I wrote down goal board. And so I wrote down all of the goals that I had before I wanted to move on from the hospital. And so I had to, when I say relearn how to do everything, I mean everything. Like laying down in bed, I had to learn how to roll over onto my side and sit up by myself and get into my wheelchair and have the strength to be able to do my hair and push myself in my wheelchair. And so I had to learn how to do all of those things that I once thought were easy. And especially getting dressed, that was one of the hardest things at first. But I made this goal board, and so I was able to visualize what I wanted to accomplish. And each day my physical therapist would come in and he'd say, "Okay, Sarah, what goal do you want to cross off?" And so, I'd get all happy and I'd choose which one I want to cross off. And that's what we would do for our physical therapy. And I just felt so accomplished when I was able to mark that box off. And because I knew that I was just one step closer to being able to come home from the hospital. And so having that goal board and visualizing all of the things that I wanted to do really helped me be able to stay determined and stay on top of myself, because sometimes it can be a little easy to get a little lazy sometimes, but as I've been able to focus on the goals that I want to accomplish, I've been able to accomplish so many things. And I choose to find the joy in even the little accomplishments that I make. A little bit ago, I have a hard time, picking stuff up off of the ground, and there was something pretty heavy off of the ground, and I was able to pick it up for the first time, and I went and told my parents that I finally picked this thing up, and they were so happy for me, and we're all just so happy, rather than saying, I can't believe how long that took me to pick this one thing up or whatever. We were so happy in just the little things. And, sometimes my dad and I will make it a competition, like, "Okay, Sarah, let's see, I'll be waiting in the car, let's see how fast you can get in the car." And so I'll get up and get dressed and get in the car, and we just make it so fun, and we choose to find the joy in the little things. And so even making just like one little goal each day, I want to get out the door at 6:45 this day, or whatever it may be. I want everyone to feel so accomplished for themselves when they make even a little bit of progress. Because I know that's one of the ways that I've been able to stay so happy, is just by staying happy at all of it's the little things that add up to big results. In the hospital, when I first found out about my legs, I didn't really know what had happened. After about 2 weeks of being in the hospital, I still didn't know because I was so heavily sedated and just constantly in and out of surgeries. And so my parents had to tell me what had happened. And so at first I had a couple of questions. I was like, will I be able to drive again? Will I be able to swim? Will I be able to cheer? And I had a list of questions that I asked my mom, and she said yes to all of the things. And at first I thought she was just saying yes to be nice, but she actually, believed that I could do all of the things that I had asked her if I would be able to do it. And all the questions that I asked in the hospital, I've been able to do. And I've been able to just accomplish so many things because I'm able to, again, focus on the what's next for me and what do I want to accomplish next. And I've been able to, do everything that my mom said that I'd be able to do. I've been able to drive and swim and all of those things. And so that just makes me really happy that I'm still able to do everything that I used to love to do. There's a quote that I'm going to read. And it says, "One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat." And so, there are times that I've worked on a skill and haven't been able to do it. A little bit ago, I've been working on getting from the floor to my chair by myself because so I just graduated high school at Clearfield High School. So I graduated in the spring, and I'm going to go to Utah State in the fall. And so I really wanted to be able to get from the floor to my chair by myself before I move away to college. And so I would work on this, a couple times a week with my dad and at physical therapy and things. And I wouldn't make it up a lot. I would need a lot of help at first. And I chose not to be defeated by not making the progress that I was seeing each day. But like I said, the little things added up to big results, and just a couple weeks ago I was able to finally get from the floor to my chair. There's a cool video of it on my Instagram if you want to check it out. It's the Instagram and Facebook is strong.like.sarah, so strong like Sarah. But I have a cool video of that on there, and of me getting from the floor to my chair, and you can just see the joy in my eyes when I finally was able to accomplish that thing. And I had to realize that it was all of the little things I was doing each day that was adding up to that. And so we can't be defeated if we're not making any progress, or we just have to not give up and stay determined, and it can take us all a long way. Okay, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is about change. And my body has changed so much, but I feel like that's the point. And I feel like that's, we're all changing in one way or another, and sometimes change can be really scary sometimes, especially when we don't expect it, or when something happens to us and it was unexpected. It can be really scary. But throughout this change in my life, like I said, I would think of one thing that I'm grateful for each day. And that was something that was on my goal board. On my goal board, I say one thing you're grateful for each day. And so, at the end of the night, my parents would say, "Okay, Sarah, what's one thing you're grateful for?" And, it just made me take a sec and think of all of the things that I still do have and all of the things that I still can do. And that is something that has helped me so much. And I had a reminder on my phone, and it just says, think of something you're grateful for. And that's something that just made me so happy despite the changes that had occurred, because I've been able to focus on the things that I still can do, the things that I still do have. And before the accident, one day at cheer practice, my cheer coach, one of our assignments was to write down a bunch of I am statements. And so we all sat in a circle, and we had a pen and paper, and we wrote down I am statements. Like I put, I am strong, I am self-confident, I am excited to show my parents my progress, I am brave, I am beautiful, and just, a bunch of I am statements. And so I hung that on my mirror, and so every day I would wake up and I'd be getting ready and I would look at those I am statements. And that is something that didn't think could go such a long way, because after the accident I am still just as confident and I still feel all of those things, and it's because I had that reminder on my mirror that I would look at every single day, and despite the change that has happened to me, I still feel beautiful, I still feel brave, and all of those things. And so I'm just grateful to have that reminder, and have grown up with that reminder and have seen that every day. And I've always been into making lists, if you can't tell, like my goal board and things like that. And so I would make bucket lists. I would make summer bucket lists, lifelong bucket lists, year bucket lists, just all of the things. And I would just really be into making those things. And so after the accident, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a new and improved bucket list. And so I'm going to write down things that I want to either do again or do for the first time and things like that. And so I wrote down, like, I want to go to Flow Rider, and I want to go boating, and I want to go on a hike and other things like that. And so I wrote down all the things that I wanted to accomplish. And just looking at this list, I've been able to cross off so many of the things that I had written down. I need to start writing down some more things because I've already crossed a lot of them off. But it's just been cool to me seeing how much my body has changed and how much I'm still able to do if I really put my mind to it. And I think that all of your examples on the kids you teach, you need to teach them that if they put their mind to something, that they can do it, even if it's figuring out a different way to do it. I've had to figure out new ways of how to do a lot of things, but I've been able to do it. And that's something that can be really powerful for us, despite the changes that occur, even if it's unexpected, that we can still find fun things for us to do, no matter what. And so, like he said, I want to be a teacher. I want to be an elementary school teacher for like second or third graders. And so I'm going to Utah State to become a teacher, and I'm just super excited and just a little bit late. I mean, that's something that I've always wanted to do since like 7th grade. I've always wanted to be an elementary school teacher. I love kids and I love watching kids grow and things click in their brains finally. And I didn't want to let this accident stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do. And I'd always wanted to go to Utah State and move away from home, and so I'm still going to do all of those things that I wanted. And lately I've been kind of doubtful about the things. I'm like, there's so many high shelves, like, will I be able to reach things? And I've been kind of having doubts in my head. And I've talked to a couple of people about this, and they've given me a lot of hope, and they're like, the kids will want to help you with everything. They'll want to reach things for you and other things like that. And I know that it'll be a little bit challenging, but I'll be able to figure it out, and I feel like they'll all be really accommodating for me, and all of the kids will want to help. And so I'm really excited to become a teacher, and so it'll be my first year at college. I actually move in on Saturday, and so just a couple days. And so I'm really excited to be able to do that, and no matter the change, I'm still able to do all of the things that I loved and all of the things that I used to want to do. One last quote is, "Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." And so I think it's a good thing that all of us are changing, even though it may feel like not a good thing. If we change jobs, if we change houses, if we, just like little things like that, we may feel like we're not getting anywhere or we're backtracking, but I promise that as we change, we are making progress, even if it's the slightest bit of progress. And we all can better ourselves through the changes that we go through, because it can challenge our minds and it can challenge us to think of things differently. Like me and my family have been able to really, problem solve and think of things differently of, okay, how are we going to get Sarah to do this? And other things like that. And so I'm so glad and grateful for all of the things that I've still been able to do, despite the changes that occurred. And yeah, I just know that just because I can't change the accident, I can change my attitude and choose to stay positive. And I know that as you guys go into this year with teaching, that you can teach these kids a lot of things. And I think that positivity is one of the most important things that you can teach them. And problem solving and figuring out new ways to do things. And I think that you all will have the biggest influence on the kids this year. And I think very highly of all of you. I loved all of my high school teachers and my junior high teachers, and I'm grateful for their example that they've shown me, and they're the ones who have developed, part of who I am today. And because you're with these kids for a couple of hours, and so you have a bigger influence on them than you may even know. And so I know that you all can do so much good in the world, and I wish you all the best of luck.